All right, welcome back. Let's talk about something every T-Rex owner in a mountain state or a state that experiences more than just summer thinks about. And that is, how do I stretch my riding season without doing something dumb? Because let's be honest, the T-Rex isn't a snowmobile and it's not a year-round commuter either. But with a little planning and a little discipline and a lot of self-control, the T-Rex can absolutely be a 3-season toy. Late spring, all summer, and early fall. Today, I'll show you how to ride longer, ride safer, and still have fun doing it without turning into that guy. If there's one thing that holds people back from purchasing a T-Rex, it's that it seems to be kind of a one-season toy. And if you're the kind of person who has had toys in the past, you probably know it's best to avoid that kind of thing. So first, let's define the goal. This video is not about pushing limits. It's about smart extension, not reckless riding. If you live in places like Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Montana, this is about picking better days, dressing smarter, respecting the road, and knowing when to say, not today. This is exactly how you get more seat time over the year and not less. First, let's talk about the gear, because when it comes to T-Rex riding and extending your season, I think the juice is worth the squeeze. I think we can all agree that one of the best things about the T-Rex is not having to wear full motorcycle gear. But here's the truth. If you want more riding days, gear becomes your secret weapon. Not because you're scared, but because you're smart. So here's my recommended 3-season gear setup. I know that for most of us who live in states that don't require a helmet, one of the best parts about riding in the T-Rex is not wearing a helmet. But if you want to extend your T-Rex into 3 seasons, you're going to have to invest in one. It blocks the wind, blocks the cold, it blocks fatigue, and surprise bugs moving at Mach faster than common sense. Also, you'll need a nice set of gloves, real ones, not thin leather driving gloves, not summer fingerless bravado gloves. Cold hands equals slow reactions, period. Also, you'll want to wear a neck gaiter or a neck warmer. Surprisingly, this tiny piece of fabric makes for a massive comfort upgrade. Just keeping that wind off of your neck really does make a difference. You'll also need a riding jacket. I don't necessarily think that you need a motorcycle riding jacket that has all like the pads, but you do want something that blocks the wind more than insulation. So layer underneath and then wear a nice riding wind jacket, something that's going to block most of that cold wind. In addition, I strongly suggest that you wear riding pants. Even though you're in a cockpit, it really does make a huge difference. Denim plus cold air equals regret. Ask me how I know. Yes, it's more gear. Yes, it's more effort, but suddenly 45 degrees feels like 60 degrees and your riding season just got a lot longer. And I know for my friends who are watching from those never winter states that 60 degrees sounds crazy, but if you live in a mountain state, 60 degrees sounds just right. After you've got your riding gear worked out, you need to think about when you ride because that matters as much as how you ride. So this is where mountain riders win. Stick to daytime rides. They're the warmest temps, the roads are clearer, ice disappears faster than your motivation does. Be picky about your days. Be prepared to be accused by all your motorcycle riding friends of being a fair weather rider. And that's fine because the point is you're out riding. Truth is, fair weather riders ride more days per year, break fewer parts, and don't slide into ditches or medians for content. If you live in a mountain state, flexibility is your superpower. Move errands, shuffle schedules, grab the good windows. And what you'll discover is that you'll actually be riding more than the people who try to force the bad days. As you extend your season, there are some safety concerns. So let's talk about what actually bites people in the spring and the fall. Probably the most obvious one is cold temperatures because cold affects your grip, it affects tire pressure, reaction time, and definitely your patience. Not to mention cold winds. The T-Rex is stable, but it's also very light and it does get pushed around. So big gusts still matter, especially on open highways and passes. Always be wary of cold and wet roads. Shaded corners, bridges, overpasses, they stay wet and cold way longer than you might expect. Also, if you live in a state that treats the roads, salt and magnesium chloride is your nemesis. This stuff is slick and it's corrosive. It reduces traction, it eats hardware, it makes everything filthy. So make sure that if you go out and ride after the roads have been treated, that you wash your T-Rex meticulously. Also, beware of those new potholes. Winter is basically a pothole manufacturing season. That smooth road from last fall, yeah, not anymore. And it's hard to overstate the absent-minded drivers. Drivers aren't in bike mode yet. Most of them are looking at their phones. They've completely forgotten that other vehicles are on the road. Toys are back, speed differences exist, and the T-Rex is a lot smaller than a Subaru. Assume that they don't see you because often they don't. Now let's talk about some riding safety tips tips that are specific to the TRex. I strongly suggest that you use conservative power modes. And you already know this, I've got a whole video on it. Less power equals smoother throttle equals better traction when temps are low. Try not to think of the KTRC and power modes as limiters, but as tools to make you a better rider. I've got a lot more to say about that later, but let's get back to the topic. Mind that rear tire. The TRex puts real power down through one rear contact patch. So a cold tire equals limited grip. So go easy on throttle exits, aggressive downshifts, or those just one more pull moments. Make sure that you're braking earlier. Cold pads and cold tires need more distance, and there's no shame in having a little extra margin. Don't forget that on most surface streets, there's a more aggressive road camber. So the TRex plus road camber plus cold pavement equals surprise lessons. Also, and probably most importantly, know when to walk away. If you approach your ride thinking, I could probably make this work, that's usually your cue to grab a coffee instead. The reality is that the TRex was never meant to be a four-season machine, and that's okay. Smarter gear, better timing, a little humility, and a lot of awareness, it absolutely becomes a three-season toy in any mountain state. Late spring, all summer, and early fall. You'll ride longer, not harder. Ride smarter, not colder. If this video helped in any way, let me know in the comment section below. And also, I'd be curious to know how you stretch your season where you live. And remember, fair weather riders still have more fun than broken riders. Be nice and ride safely. I'll see you on the next one.